I was on dialysis for 6 years. You know, in and out of the hospital, man. When you on dialysis, man, you're so prone to catch other stuff like pneumonia. Um, you catch all kind of stuff because you got open wounds on you that they're basically removing and replacing blood from. Just like today, you know, I'm completely healed from dialysis now. You know, I got a call to get a kidney transplant. You know, and I call that a healing because that didn't have to come. People wait years for transplants, and then they get the transplant, and the transplant don't work. You know, so I'm happy to say that I haven't been to the hospital since 2016, and that was when they put the transplant in me. You know, and it's 2024. I'm just so grateful to God, man, that He gave me a second, not just a second, not just a third, but a fourth and fifth and sixth chance. You know, just to be here. You know, I could have been dead, man. You know, on 3 occasions. I had congestive heart failure. My liver swole up to the size of 2 livers. Wow, man. And I had to learn how to walk again because I had so much fluid on my body. And my knees, man, my knees swole up to the size of grapefruits. You know, just from fluid. You know, but through it all, you know, God remained faithful to me, man. You know, one thing I realized, man, you know, no matter what we go through, you know, no matter how many times we turn our back on God, when you turn around, He's gonna be right there. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be right there. You know, His grace, His mercy, man, it's unexplainable. You know, it goes beyond our mindsets. It goes beyond our thoughts, our dreams. You know, I never thought that God would bring me out like He did. I was born in Augusta, Georgia. Grew up in church all my life, you know, under non-denomination, you know, huge church background, you know, grew up singing, grew up playing in the church, being a musician in the church. So I'm just church all over. So.
Okay. And because of that church background, of course, your dad is a pastor, right?
Right.
All right. So just tell us, and you're from Augusta, Georgia?
Yes.
Tell us what it was like growing up in Augusta, Georgia.
Well, I didn't necessarily grow up in Augusta. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay.
And my dad had a church location there. So we basically migrated from the Augusta area to New Orleans and whatnot. And I grew up in New Orleans, went to elementary, went to middle school, went to high school there until Katrina. And then I migrated back to Georgia and graduated there and whatnot. Came back up this way towards the coast.
Okay.
And went to college here. So, yeah.
Okay. Any siblings?
Yes.
All right.
6 siblings, and 7 with myself. So,
okay. Are you
yeah,
the youngest?
4 boys, 3 girls. No, I'm not the youngest. I had a younger brother, but he passed away in 2016.
Okay. Tell me, growing up in church and as the son of a pastor, how is that shaped like your personal faith and walk with God?
Once the word is instilled in you, you know, it's hard to get it out. You know, it's just like growing up and your parents telling you to make your bed up every day. It's kind of like a second nature. So, you know, immediately when something happens in my life now, today, you know, the first name I'm calling is Jesus. So, you know, that's been a very pivotal point in my life. You know, ministry has played a big part. No matter how far I've strayed away from it or come back, every time wherever I turn, He's always, you know, God's always there. So that's something that I know, that's something I believe, and that's something I stand firm on.
Growing up in the type of church that you grew up in was what was like, you know, you have certain churches that are known for, you know, a certain thing. You know, certain churches are big on certain aspects, whether they may be family, whether they may be deliverance, whether they may be miracles, or you just have certain churches that are known for a particular thing. What was your church known for in your eyes growing up?
Holiness.
Okay.
Holiness, and everything that you said basically surrounded that. Miracles, faith, all that surrounds the holiness. You know, you know, get right or go home. You know, preaching hell from the kitchen sink to the back door. You know? So, you know, that's how I grew up. You know, that down home church. You know, flatfoot preaching. You know, so that's what I'm accustomed to.
As a child, were you accustomed to seeing a lot of healing and miracle testimonies and things like that happen in the lives of other people?
Yes. Man, I've seen blinded eyes be recovered. You know, just bones be constructed back together in front of my eyes. You know, as a kid, you don't really understand it, but you know it's real. You know, you don't really, you visualize it, but you don't really, you know, it doesn't really take part until you go through something and you really need to depend on God for that type of miracle.
Yeah.
You know.
What age did you start seeing stuff like that?
When I started paying attention, probably like 6, 7.
What's a notable like miracle or act of healing that you saw during that time?
I saw my dad slap a tumor off of a lady's neck one time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it disappeared in front of me in Augusta, Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
It's kind of surreal because it's like, you know, back then things like that was the norm, you know. So it was kind of surreal in a way, you know, because as a kid, you know, within your play, you know something's real about what's going on around you. So, you know, just seeing that, you know, just kind of, you know, it just made me know that God is real.
Yeah.
Something is real that's making these things happen, you know, and that's the type of impact they had on me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, because of course, a lot of people don't get the privilege or get the chance to see something like that that cause them to believe. Because, you know, you have people that are atheists, you have people that don't believe in God, you don't have people that don't believe in healing or miracles like that exist, or that God would use an individual in that kind of extreme to perform that kind of miracle and that kind of healing. Like when you saw that, did you go to school and tell people about it?
Oh man, I preached from the ceiling to the floor. You know, I grew up in church. You know, I grew up, you know, with certain beliefs and stuff like that. So whatever I didn't believe that the school had going on, you know, I was at the school preaching against it. In pre-K and kindergarten, you know, I didn't know no better. You know, I was just trying to be like my dad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
I've seen, you know, it's crazy. You know, it's people within the ministry now, like musicians that I know that were crippled.
Wow.
That I seen, you know, that were deformed. You know, I seen my dad lay hands on them and their deformities disappeared. You know, some of the people, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Wow.
You know, it's real. Miracles are real.
So, seeing all of that and seeing how God will perform miracles and how God will heal individuals, when was your health affected and your health journey? What was that process like to where you started experiencing like certain things happen with you that you really need to depend on God to help you through?
I'll never forget 2010. I was driving down the road headed to church one night, and my right eye was blurred, and it was just real cloudy, like, you know, I couldn't see out of it. So the next day I went to an optometrist or whatever, and the optometrist told me that you got fluid, and we could do a LASIK surgery or whatever, and we could try to remove that fluid. So I said, cool. So I got that all set up, you know. I said, well, maybe that's just what it is. So that night, I laid down to go to sleep. I laid my head back, and it felt like I was drowning in like 12 feet water.
Yeah.
So I sat up to catch my breath, and I'm like, man, what's going on with me? Or whatever. So I basically battled through the night with that. Woke up that morning, my left eye was blurred. So I was like, man, this is crazy. So that was rehearsal the night that I was going to church the first day. So the next day was Bible study. So I struggled to church, you know. Got there, could barely see out of both eyes. I got in the prayer line. at the end of service. Pastor Kincannon was my pastor at the time, and he prayed for me and whatnot. And so I just went home, struggled to get home, whatever. So I got up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom, and I was urinating blood. And I was like, oh my God, man, what's going on with me? And I couldn't hardly breathe, I could taste the toxicness in my mouth. Like I could taste something was wrong. I don't know what it was, but something was wrong. So I called my sister. I said, I'm getting ready to head to the ER because something's going on with me and I don't know what it is. So and before that I was having like a lot of migraines and a lot of headaches and stuff like that. But because I grew up in church, because I grew up in a healing environment, I wasn't so quick to go to the hospital because I'm just looking at whatever going on with me, God gonna take care of it because I work for Him. I'm a church musician. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I grew up watching miracles happen. I didn't grow up going to the hospital. I didn't grow up going to the doctor for colds and whatever was going on. My dad laid hands on me, and I had faith in God delivered me. So I went to the ER, and they ran all kind of tests on me and whatnot, and then they came in the room and they was like, "Man, you're in stage 4 renal failure." And for people that don't know what renal failure is, that's kidney disease. So my kidneys had them failed on me, and I didn't know it.
Wow.
So I had to do emergency dialysis. So I never forget when they first did the surgery on me and put the tubes and stuff in my chest and everything like that. And man, I was so scared, because I'm just like, man, I'm at this hospital and I'm really sick. My faith was really tried at the time because at that time, I'm sitting there and I'm just letting, and this was before my family arrived and before, people came, and so I'm just looking up at the ceiling and I'm just like, man, how could this happen to me? And at the time I'm only 19 years old.
Wow.
So I'm like, man, how could this happen to me? I got so many plans, so much stuff going on around me that I got in my mind that I just know that I'm going to accomplish in my life. And I got this major setback in front of me now. How my dad going to look at me, how the church people going to look at me, how my peers going to look at me. I'm this young and I got to be on dialysis. And I don't wish dialysis on my worst enemy. I mean, being on that machine, man, to take all your energy away from you, it's kind of like being on chemo, but being on chemo like times 10 because it's cleaning you from the inside out, but it's not just cleaning you, it's cleaning the good and the bad. When I say that, it's cleaning the white blood cells and it's cleaning the red blood cells. So you need your red blood cells, which flows your oxygen. All your H2O goes to your red blood cells, and your white blood cells is what they're trying to get rid of. But the machine doesn't know how to differentiate that. So you leave, you weak, man. You can barely hold your head up, it was tough, man. And my dad came, my family came, man. He laid hands on me, man. And nothing happened right then. You know what I'm saying? Nothing happened for a while. I was on dialysis for 6 years. In and out of the hospital, man. When you on dialysis, man, you're so prone to catch other stuff like pneumonia. You catch all kind of stuff because you got open wounds on you that they're basically removing and replacing blood from. I kept the faith, man, through that situation, man. I was really tried in that situation, man. At some points of my life, man, I didn't really have much to live for. I sing with a group now called the Swanee Quintet. And, man, surprisingly, man, that group gave me a will to live, man. And at the time, I wasn't the lead singer. The lead singer at the time was Percy Griffin. Rest in peace, Percy Griffin. And I got in that group, man, and I hid my sickness from those guys for about a year, because I was ashamed. And I didn't want them to think I couldn't, do my job, and deal with what I had to deal with, And how they found out one day was we was on our way back, and something happened on our tour bus. And I was like, man, I got to hurry up and get back because I ran dialysis on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so that was a Sunday. And we was coming all the way from New York. And we was in D.C. and it was 6 a.m. my dialysis appointment. I'm supposed to be there at 6.
Yeah.
So that's how they found out. And I had to end up doing like an emergency dialysis where we were or whatever. So, but man, just that group, man, and my dad, my family, you know, my church family, you know, that's what kept me going, you know. And another thing too, you know, my dad never pet me up, you know. He always encouraged me to keep working, keep going, keep pushing, you know. And if you ain't never been sick or you ain't never took care of somebody that's been sick, you don't really know the pressure of it, you know. And it just made me real independently strong, you know, mentally strong, man. You know, because being sick is such a heavy burden, man, when you by yourself. And at the time, I was in Augusta. My family was on the Gulf Coast. You know, my mom and dad, you know, he has a church there as well. So I was basically trying to be a man, you know, on my own and dealing with all of that and still work. You know, and not having like a regular job, but, you know, playing drums at the church and also being a background singer for the Swanee Quintet at the time. And so, you know, I found strength in things around me. You know, just like today, you know, I'm completely healed from dialysis now, you know. I got a call to get a kidney transplant, you know, and I call that a healing because that didn't have to come. You know, people wait years for transplants, and then they get the transplant, and the transplant don't work. You know, so I'm happy to say that I haven't been to the hospital since 2016, and that was when they put the transplant in me. You know, and it's 2024. You know, so I'm just so grateful to God, man, that He gave me a second, not just a second, not just a third, but a fourth and fifth and sixth chance. You know, just to be here. You know, I could have been dead, man. You know. On 3 occasions, you know, I had congestive heart failure. My liver swole up to the size of 2 livers.
Wow,
man. And I had to learn how to walk again because I had so much fluid on my body, and my knees, man. My knees swole up to the size of grapefruits. You know, just from fluid. You know, but through it all, you know, God remained faithful to me, man. You know, and one thing I realized, man, you know, no matter what we go through, you know, no matter how many times we turn our back on God, when you turn around, He's going to be right there. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be right there. You know, His grace, His mercy, man, it's unexplainable. You know, it goes beyond our mindsets. It goes beyond our thoughts, our dreams, you know. I never thought that God would bring me out like He did. You know, my dad prophesied to me and told me that He would, you know. But at the time, I didn't have nothing to live for because I thought, man, I could die any day, anytime. You know, anything could happen to me, you know, because you're so prone to infection when you're on dialysis. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like anything could happen to me. So I'm just living my life, you know. I want to do everything I can do right now, you know, while I got a chance. You know, because I didn't have nothing to live for, you know. But I just thank God for my dad, man. I thank God for people like Eddie Bond, Schoolboy, you know, people that always kept me encouraged, man. Always told me to keep going. Don't stop. Don't quit, you know. Keep the faith, man. You're going to come out of this. You're going to come through this. You know, even when it was blind to me, you know, I didn't see a future in myself, you know what I'm saying? And that was, 8 years ago.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So, I'm a kidney survivor, man. You know,
and just looking at all that, man, it's just as it just unfolds. You know, you touched on a lot of things that I was going to ask you, because you know when like sometimes people don't understand or not aware or conscious of it at times. Sickness is one thing, but sickness it brings other stuff with it, like depression.
right.
It brings stress. It brings mind battles and things like that. And some of that stuff, man, it just really, and it's the stress, of course, it starts messing with your heart. It starts messing with a whole lot of, it's like one thing after the other.
It's an emotional pull.
Yeah, it's an emotional pull. Now you're going through that, like, and not only do you go through it, but like people around you
My
are
family.
going.
Yeah, they suffered. They suffered when I went through that. Even though they wasn't always around, when I got around them, I can feel it. They always. You could tell when people, looking at you just to make sure you're all right. But that's the one thing about God, man. That's so amazing, man. Man, He can give you a strength mentally that nobody can give you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was on dialysis for 6 years. I wasn't able to work a regular job. You know what I'm saying? God made a way for me, man. He let my gift make room for me, man. I don't even play drums anymore, but I maintained the church gig in the church, and I was able to sing with this major group that I sing with now, and I'm the lead singer now of the Swanee Quintet. So, it's just crazy, man. It's how God, elevated me on so many levels, man. Now I'm working in the corporate world. I never dreamed of having a regular job, or, I never dreamed of that. I never dreamed of having a nice house. I didn't think I was gonna live that long. You know what I'm saying? My life expectancy when you're on have kidney disease, your life expectancy isn't long. Even when you're on dialysis, it cuts your life short.
Obviously, you were educated about this.
Yeah. I got a part. I was a part of the National Kidney Association and whatnot. So I would go take courses. I would go up to Charlotte. I would go up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and go take courses and stuff there because I wanted to learn how to better my life with what I was dealing with. A lot of people when they sick, they just wove in it. Like I'm sick. I'm just gone. But me, because I was so young, I just wanted to educate myself. I wanted to do everything that I needed to do. And you got to do what the doctors tell you to do when you sick. You got to take your medicine. You got to do any little thing. Your life could be gone just like that. So, I educated myself a lot about kidney disease and how to get through it. I had no control over getting a kidney transplant. That's basically based upon a toll of a whole lot of other things, with doctors and insurance and all kind of stuff like that. But, man, God's hand was on my life, man. I felt like I was picked out to be picked on. But
what are the odds of getting a kidney transplant?
It's rare. It's rare, and then you can get a kidney transplant and the transplant not work for your body. I haven't had no problems with this kidney at all that I have. It's just, man, it's crazy, man. It's a blessing, man. Like I go to the doctor, man. It's like I got two kidneys and I ain't got but one. And it's just crazy, man. I really believe God really gave me a miracle, man. Yeah. Because I have no complications. I got my kidney transplant in Augusta, Georgia. I live in a whole nother state now. My kidney doctors are there. I haven't seen them in 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And so, it's just the journey has really been trying, but it's been a blessing.
When was that like snap out of it moment? Because I recall you saying that, at 19 when you were going through all that, you didn't expect, you kind of you didn't expect to live that long. Of course you got everybody around you praying for you and supporting you and things of that nature. But when was that personal come to moment? Like, hey, that sense of hope. When was that come to moment for you?
The come to moment for me was when my dad told me, you ain't gonna be on dialysis long. And I've always had faith in his words, because I've always looked at him as a true man of God, and I always knew God spoke to him from a little boy, and that always stuck with me, man. It was sometimes it would be small because I'd be going through so much sometimes, but I would always revert to that. My dad told me, I'm gonna come out of this, man. I'm gonna come out of this, and lo and behold, I came out of it, man. And coming out of something like that, man, you get such a faith about everything after that.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. It's nothing that, man, when God, that's why when I hear somebody telling a testimony of cancer survivor or somebody that survived a brain tumor or brain injury, anything, any survivor, my heart goes out to them, man, because, surviving means life or death.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So somebody that made it through, You know, I mean, that's a strong thing. You know what I'm saying? I can truly say that I made it through a very, 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 very serious time in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I could have gave up a bunch of times. You know, sometimes when you go to these clinics, man, and they stick in you, they put needles in you and out of you. You know, sometimes you go, man. Sometimes I recall going to dialysis one time, man, and they stuck me one time, and man, it stuck me in the wrong place. And it basically just ruptured my whole little thing. So I had to get surgery. Couldn't run on dialysis after I had been drinking fluid the whole weekend. You know, so I had to have an emergency surgery, man. It's just a lot of complications, man. I've been through so much, man. I could write a whole book about it. And I might write a book, you know. But it's just a lot, man. It's just,
Yeah.
But just, you know, I'll tell you one thing, man. I remained faithful to God. I never gave up on God. You know, I never stopped going to church. I never surrendered my duties at church. You know, I always was there. I was faithful. You know, I was faithful, man. Sometimes I was sick as a dog, man, but I was there. My dad was gonna make sure I was there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was gonna make sure, because he knew what I was going through, but he also knew that I had to, you know, persevere through it. You know what I'm saying? So. I just thank God for him, man. You know?
Yeah, it's moments like that because that really strengthens your faith, because before you go through something like that, you are kind of riding on the coattails of others' faith. You're kind of riding on the coattails of your father's faith.
Exactly.
People around you. But by God taking you through that thing personally, it really, like, how did that really shape your faith going forward in God?
It shaped my faith in a lot of ways, man, because it let me know that, man, sky's the limit. You know, man, we serve we can't even begin to think about how great God is, man. How big he is. You know, man, he turned my life around, man.
Yeah.
You know, not just physically, financially, man. You know, like I said, those whole 6 years, I never worked a job. And I never really worked before that because my job was church. I grew up in church, you know. So, you know, I grew up wanting to be a musician. You know, my dad's the pastor. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I grew up in church. That was my employment, you know, and to see my life now, you know what I'm saying? And just to, you know, what I'm doing and being a career, you know, man, it's just a blessing, man. I don't take nothing for granted, man, that, you know, what God has done for me and everything that he's sent me through, you know, because just even though he sent me through it, he pulled me through it too, man. You know, and a lot of people go through things and they don't come out to tell the story.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Here we are in 2024, man. You know, and I'm still alive, man. I'm here to tell the story.
Yeah. If you can, what will you tell somebody else that may be dealing with a similar situation like you? Like you said, a survivor is a survivor. You know, whether they be a cancer survivor, whatever kind of sickness that could be fatal, if they survive that, what can you tell somebody that may be in the beginning stages of going through a trying time like that? What would you tell them?
Well, you know what? A lot of people used to tell me, don't give up. Never give up. That's what people used to tell me. But that's easier said than done. If I could give a person any advice, I would tell them to get right with God, man. Be sure about God. You know, don't lose your relationship with him. Because I'm be honest with you, I've given up 1,000 times, hundreds of times. You know, because sometimes, man, you be to a point, you be so sick, you be so down. And not just with sickness, man, just the responsibilities of life, man. When you got a family, you know, you got to be responsible. You got to go out and you got to make things work for your family. A lot of that stuff can burden you down, men and women. You know what I'm saying? The youth, you know what I'm saying? You know, I know we look at the youth sometimes, you know, man, it's so hard nowadays, man, just for kids to be kids, man. You know, it's so hard nowadays for a husband to just be a husband, for a wife to just be a wife. You know, you almost got to be a superhero now just to make people happy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, happiness used to be so easy to accomplish back then. but we shrunk happiness down to this. So when you're not happy, you don't have no hope. When you ain't got no hope, you don't got no joy. And when you don't got no joy, you don't want to live. So that's why so many people give up so much, man. You know, it's so easy to give up because back then it didn't take a whole lot to make us happy on our birthday.
Right.
You get a big box of pizza or get some hot dogs and some cheap sodas. Everybody, you be running around, you could be at a park. Now, you got to have so much to make a kid happy nowadays. You do that for a kid now, they don't want to be outside. They don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? They really don't even want to be around people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, just the social element, you know, so now that it's so hard now, man, for people to grab a hold of a faith, man, because religion, we've dummied religion down. You know, we've dummied God down to nothing now, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to speak on everything, but we've dummied God down so small to, you know, we forgot how big he is. And when you shrink down something so small, you're looking at it like, what can it do for me? And that's the disadvantage that we have now.
Yeah.
Living is that we've shrunk down what's doing everything for us.
Yeah.
And when something's so small, you lose faith in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so make God big in your life. Make him huge. Make him humongous, man. Make him bigger than your job, man. Make him bigger than your car, your house. Make him bigger than your family. Because, you know, really that's all you got to depend on. He's the only one that can fix what's going on in your life. Only one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't make a person happy. God is the only person that can make. You got to pray for somebody to have joy. You got to pray for it. There's nothing that you can do to make a person happy.
Yeah.
You know, God has to give them that.
As we conclude, looking at you being a young child growing up in an atmosphere that miracles, healing, deliverance, all of this was like the normal for you, and you seeing this as a little child, and now you go through something personally and you see God intervene for you and give you access to something that can help you physically, mentally, and spiritually. And now today you're a part of a quartet group traveling around the world. As we conclude, what is the message, if you can put it in word form, your testimony in word form, looking back over all of that, what is Eddie McCoy's message to the world?
If I could say anything, first I'll say this. You know, the Bible says the race isn't given to the swift, but it's given to those who endure to the end. It's all about perseverance, man. It's all about being spiritually strong. A lot of people be like, oh, mentally strong. You know, that's so minute, man. You know, you got to be spiritually strong, man. You got to be, somebody might say, well, you saying you be spiritually strong. What does that mean? You know, obviously, you got to believe in something. You know, you got to put God number one, man. You got to. There's no other way. I mean, no other way. I mean, like, I completely depend on God every day, every week, every month. You know, how I'm going to make it financially, how I'm going. Man, I pray to God, like, God, man, you keep me healthy. You keep my body going. I know only he can do it. I don't depend on my job. I don't depend on people around me because I know it's only him.
Yeah. You
know, and I could tell people anything. Get a real relationship with God, man. You know, don't look on TV. Don't look at your friends. Don't look at your family. You know, you get down and you talk to God for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you might not hear nothing, you know, but you'll start seeing things around you change.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say they listen to, you know, people, I don't know what you call it, where they say stuff like, you know, I am rich, I am healed, I am this or whatever. Prophesy to yourself, talk to yourself, tell yourself where you're going to be in the next week, and you'd be surprised, man.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Exactly, man. I've spoken so many things into my life, man. And just talking, just reaching for the stars, just to myself, you know. And I've seen a lot of that stuff come forefront. So don't stop believing, man. Don't stop believing, man. It's hope beyond the storm, man. I'm serious.
Man. Well, that's going to conclude, man. If you don't mind, take us out with a moment of prayer.
Of course, man. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, I thank you so much, man. I thank you so much for this unity. I thank you so much for bringing us here today, Lord. I thank you so much for giving me the courage to even talk about what you sent me through, how you brought me out, how you brought me over, Lord. You pulled me through so many things, Lord. Pulled me over so many mountains, Lord. You carried me through so many hills, Lord. I just appreciate you for everything that you've done for me, Lord. Forgive me for anything that I've done, things that I've done, seen, unseen, known and unknown, Lord. Only you know, Lord. And I just thank you for your grace and your mercy, Lord. I honor you. I appreciate you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, Brother Eddie McCoy, man, we thank you once again for coming in and giving your testimony. It's very powerful, very insightful. And I pray everybody get a chance to tune in and hear your journey of healing and faith. And I pray they really be inspired by your journey. Until next time, my brother, be blessed.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Till next time.
Yes, sir.